Today we are doing socket fusion, also known as socket weld, with the McElroy Spider 125. So this machine will socket weld 2" to 4". Today we're doing some 2". This is a stand for the machine. It can come off of this stand if you twist off this knob right here and this one right here. So if you needed to hang it up in the air, do some vertical fusion, you can. But for the sake of this demo, we're just gonna keep it on this little stand right here. On the back side of this machine, there is a handle. All you do with this handle is pipe side, fitting side. So this handle will just move it to and fro. So one nice thing about this machine that I'll show you here in a minute when we start welding is that once you get it to a certain spot, so for example, when this pipe is fully into this fitting, the handle is gonna stay. There's no need to lock anything in. You just twist it, leave it, it's holding pressure. You don't have to touch anything. The internals of the gears within this Spider keep it locked in place. Which, if you've ever done any socket fusion before, the bigger stuff gets very cumbersome when it comes to leaving pressure on it. So this handle on the back side of this McElroy will make life a lot easier. So this is our 2" socket fusion fitting. Like any type of polypropylene welding or HDPE welding, you're gonna need to clean it. So we're gonna take 91% isopropyl alcohol, cloth rag, and we are going to clean the inside of this. We're gonna clean the face as well. You don't want any leaks, contamination, dirt, debris, even the oil off your skin on your fingers can contaminate a weld. So it's very important after you've cleaned the fitting or pipe, don't touch what you've already cleaned because you could further contaminate it. So like I mentioned earlier, this is our fitting side. This is a clean fitting. We're gonna put this in here. So these handles right here spin. So this fitting side helps keep our fitting flush. So it's gonna press up against this metal right here. That way we know. This is its own way of leveling it out, making sure everything's flush. If you've ever done socket fusion before, you know that anything above an inch, 1.5" gets very cumbersome when it comes to pulling the pipe and the fitting out of this heating adapter. This does it for you because you've got the handle to take it out yourself. That way it saves you a lot of time, a lot of, it can be very tedious, but this machine helps us out a lot. So this right here is your fitting stop. So depending on the size of your fitting, all you do is you can twist this little knob right here and it'll tighten up against this fitting. So I typically don't use it. You can, as we're doing right here. She's just gonna sit up against it. Now we have our 2" pipe. So when it comes to socket fusion, you have to identify your depth of insertion for your size of pipe. So we have our NUPI insertion depth marker. So there are different sizes on this, this tool right here. So depending on what size pipe you have, you put it up against the edge of the pipe, you mark it with your Sharpie. So for example, this is 2" pipe. All you would do is find your 2" on this pipe, which is right here. All you're gonna do is line it up flush and you are gonna mark it with your Sharpie. So that way, when these two are pushing together, you can see that, hey, this is getting to the correct depth it's supposed to. So we've got our depth of insertion marked. We are now going to, just as we did with the coupling, clean the pipe. Like I said, 91% at the very least. You can never clean this stuff too much. This is our pipe side. All this is gonna do is clamp onto the pipe. So one thing about this machine, these little black handles right here can move. So for example, when we go to move, if we were to have the handles this way, if we go to move them in, they're gonna hit up against each other, could potentially break, and you're not going to be able to get your full depth because these are going to hit up against each other. So a nice thing about these machines is you just pull this out and let it go. So pull it out, if I can, twist it and let it go. So that way we got it where none of these little hands are going to be hitting up against each other. We're just gonna, that's just a little preview of what we're about to do with this heat. So that is where the heating adapter comes into play. So this is a large McElroy heating adapter. This bad boy right here has to get up to 500 degrees. There's a temperature knob right here. You can change it. We're gonna shoot this with the thermometer. Make sure she is on par. Cut her down a little bit. We're all good. So all we're gonna do is, this is the pipe side, this is the fitting side. We're gonna flip it over. We're gonna twist it in, keep it in there for the proper cook time, and then let her sit there. But before we do that, we have to figure out our cook time. So we're gonna go to our handy dandy McCalc app made by McElroy. We're just gonna find our recipe based off of the pipe we are given. So we're gonna go to Socket Fusion. Our manufacturer is Nupi. You can change the Aquatherm. Obviously don't want to do that. Since our pipe is Nupi, we're just gonna leave it the way it is. Our pipe size, you can change that depending on what you have. We're gonna go roll with 63 millimeter because we have 2-inch pipe. So what the app is telling us is that we need to cook our pipe for 24 seconds. We've got 8 seconds to switch over, taking out this heating adapter and then pushing it back together. And then it has to cool for 6 minutes before we put any internal pressure on it. So all that our cook time is once I get this fully up to the insertion depth. So what we're gonna do here is, so once this gets fully in, it's gonna get fully in on this fitting, it's gonna get to the insertion depth. That's when I start counting, in this case, the 24 seconds. And then that is gonna be our weld time. So we're gonna, and you don't have to press too hard. The heat, since it's so hot, will kind of just bring you to it. Slowly get you where you need to be. One thing about this machine, when you have the heating adapter in it, don't twist. That way it could cause a leak if you twist the actual heating adapter. We don't want to do that, obviously. So we've got our, to depth, we are going to start the timer. So she is gonna cook for 24 seconds. Hand pressure is still on, the handle is keeping it in place. I'm gonna hold this up. The reason I'm holding it up is because you let go of it, it'll just sag right back down. So in 10 seconds here, I'm gonna open this, take this out, close it, and we gotta wait 6 minutes and she's good to go. So we're gonna leave her here. Pressure is still on it for 6 minutes. In 6 minutes, we can take it out. That is a 2-inch socket fusion weld onto a 2-inch socket fusion coupling. We use the McElroy Spider 125, which can do socket welds 2-inch up to 4-inch. And we also use a McElroy large heating adapter with a 2-inch adapter head on it as well. Like I mentioned, in about 5 minutes now, you can take it out, put internal pressure on it, run water through it, air, whatever chemical or material your spec is requiring that goes through this pipe. You run it through here in 5 minutes. You can weld it in 5 minutes. You just gotta wait for that time to cool down.